Welcome everyone to the CFO Swinger Watch newsletter technical analysis video for the week of December 4th through 9th. With that, let's go ahead and take a look at the markets. So the S&P 500 or SPY is obviously currently in an uptrend. If you guessed right, you're correct. So this has been an amazing run up to the upside. I mean, this is just a picture-perfect V-shaped recovery that literally looks exactly what we experienced back in March of 2020. Okay, so just the fact that we've run up so fast and so quick just completely tells us that the market is ready to continue to go higher. This means that breakouts will hold. This means that trend reversals are going to hold, and etc. So leaders are also always going to be leading. All right. So SPY here has fortunately made a new 2023 high last Friday, sitting at 459.65, which is higher than the previous 2023 high of 459.44, which I have mentioned so many times. All right. So now, for the S&P 500 here, for SPY, I love the fact that the daily 10 SMA has caught up. It simply caught up to the price. And then the price decided to retest on the 10 SMA and then bounce. And then continue to hold and bounce over the daily 10 SMA. Now, mind you, we are getting a bit overextended now. At this point, we need to see some sort of a exhaustive pullback, and there's a bunch of other reasons that I've given you guys for the past 2 weeks and on the market summary for this week. So make sure you guys read the market summary first before you guys watch this technical analysis video. So again, for SPY, I'm still expecting at least minimum a 2% pullback. And if we do see a pullback again, we need to see a retest of at least minimum 451.50. I'm keeping my eyes on this specific level. And again, there's no real reason to be expecting the markets to continue to move down and down and down and down and do some sort of an upside down V-shaped move to the downside. Okay, and there's a lot of people out there that are expecting that, but that's just a lot of baseless fear mongering. And the market is clearly telling us that in the short term and in the long term, we're ready to move much, much higher. Okay, and just like I've explained in the past, we don't necessarily need to fill in these gaps right here, but ideally, I would want to see at least an attempt to try at least just a little bit, at least 10 to 20% of the price moving down to try to fill in at least a little bit of this gap, right? And what I mean by that is that I want to see the price at least hitting $444, right? This was a previous level of support. So if you do see any type of at least a 2% pullback, I would want to see minimum 451.50 being held as support. But if we do somehow see a loss of 451.50 as support, then we can see a retest of the daily 21 SMA as well as the price breaks below 451.50. Okay, now for the upside targets, okay, the upside targets are kind of limitless here because it seems like the markets are really trying to gun for that $500 level into next year. Now that might seem completely crazy to be even thinking of this number as a target for SPY, but there's actually quite a few banks and institutions out there that are looking for SPY to make a huge move into the end of the year and into next year as well. So personally for me, ideally and realistically, I would think SPY has a target to around 480 or around 479. So a nice range of 479 to 480. But if we want to see that target being reached, okay, if we want to see this target being hit, we need to see a good pullback. All right. And, again, it might sound a bit contradicting here and there, but overall, the long-term trend is to the upside and we are in need of a pullback. That's it. All right, that's it. But we need to focus on the most important thing is to follow the trend, right? We need to be following the trend. And what is the trend? What did I say when we first started to look at SPY here? We're in an uptrend, right? We're completely and obviously 100% in an uptrend. So we need to follow the trend. All right. So again, there's a lot of different sector rotations and money rotations that are currently happening right now in the markets as well, which is a very, very healthy thing to see. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the market can pull back and start having a nice reversal to the downside. All right, I'm going to reiterate that again. All right, so the fact that we're seeing even sector rotations or money rotations clearly indicate that yes, the markets are healthy and we're not looking for a 10% correction that we just saw only a couple months ago, right? Just in Q3 of this year, all right? We had that textbook 10% correction. And then now we had this very, very crazy, very nice V-shaped recovery to the upside. Okay. Now, one more thing that you guys to remember is that NASDAQ tech stocks have been lagging, right? The leaders are now currently lagging. So that's a small indication that there is a possibility that we could be seeing that pullback along with the other different probabilities and possibilities and factors that I've given you guys the past couple of weeks and in the market summary of this week. So make sure you guys read that. Okay, so with that, let's take a look at our first name, PLTR, so Palantir. So this one is looking absolutely scrumptious. And the reason why I say that is that, well, PLTR has been looking to be a very, very good, easy trade to the upside. I would say this is probably one of the easiest trade ideas that I'm going to give you guys for this week, maybe in the next couple of weeks, maybe into the end of the month, because PLTR has been riding the daily 10 and the daily 21 SMAs perfectly. All right. So every single time we come back down, we make an attempt to immediately come back over the 10 and 21 SMAs. And plus, after earnings day here, the most recent earnings back in early November, we're able to swiftly move away from the daily 50 SMA. And I love the fact that the price has been actually consolidating back and forth when it was retesting and hitting the daily 50 SMA. But now, the fact that we were able to gap up and keep this gap up from earnings report here, PLTR has been able to consistently move away from the daily 50 SMA. So this is the same thing that has occurred on the daily 200 SMA back in earlier this year, right? So this is exactly what I want to be seeing on the daily 50 SMA, and currently we are seeing that now. We're starting to move away from the daily 50 SMA after consolidating around its area that it was in. So, for this one, as long as we're consistently staying over the daily 10 and the 21 SMAs, we should be good to see a consistent move to the upside with higher highs and higher lows as we've already been seeing for the past couple of weeks here right after the earnings gap up. So for us, a great entry for us will be over 20.50. That will be our confirmation entry point for this week. All right. And the actual level is sitting around 20.40, but we want to see that confirmation of the price being able to hold over this intraday level of resistance, which is the reason why I give you guys this 20.50 entry number. And if we're able to see an even more ideal entry point, a nice retest and bounce at $20 will be great, which is the reason why I give you guys this bounce entry at 20.10. Okay, now our immediate targets will be around 21.50 or at least a retest of this previous pivot high point sitting at 21.85. Or if you guys want to round that up, we could put it to 22 because again, what are we expecting to see on PLTR? A nice textbook uptrend that consists of higher highs and higher lows. So we'll be making a higher high if we retest $22. Now, from a daily and even a weekly perspective, we have a huge level at 22.65-ish, and we have another large target sitting at $25. All right, so there is a good chance that PLTR can completely move out from this current supply area that we're currently consolidating in between $19 and $20.50 here. And once we're able to have enough momentum and energy to break us out over 20.50, we should be seeing at least a retest of 22.65 and eventually $25. So there's a huge area of supply here. These are the IPO highs that we experienced back in early to mid 2021. So there's a good chance we can see this happening. Okay, so as long as we're able to, again, hold over the daily 10 and 21 SMAs and continue that momentum up higher, we should be seeing a very good chance of PLTR hitting at least the 25-ish area. Okay. All right. So our next name here is SYM. So Symbiotic. So this one is looking absolutely great. It looks like it's ready for a potential blue sky breakout. So first of all, as seen here, indicated by our yellow arrow here, on the daily time frame, our all-time high price is sitting at $64.14. If you want to just look at the monthly time frame, right? This one has been on a tear, right? Ever since the year started. So this is an amazing move up, and yes, on the monthly, it looks like we need some sort of consolidation. But if you go back in the daily time frame, okay, with the fact that we do have this all-time high price of $64.14, there is an actual chance that we can be retesting that all-time high number. And here's the reason why. So after its most recent earnings, we're able to see a very good gap up. And again, remember what I said last week? We had a bunch of gap uppers that are able to keep their gap ups, right? And the gains that they've made, and not immediately filling in that really large gap up that they've recently had. So Symbiotic here, SYM, is one of those tickers. And I love the fact that after it gapped up, we started to immediately consolidate with very good tight ranges and even attempts to break up higher. And that usually indicates that there are still a lot of buyers in this name, and including last Friday, right? We had this very outstanding bullish engulfing candlestick to end the day on Friday. And I love the fact that the daily 10 SMA has caught up. Now, just as a precaution, whenever you're looking at these names, these types of chart setups, we tend to want to wait until the daily 21 SMA has caught up to the price. But in this case here, there's a lot of momentum going on just based on the price history that we have so far, the data that we have so far for the last week and a half here. So, for SYM, as we're making this, as we're consolidating and currently making a nice bull flag or just simply a wedge chart pattern, okay, it seems like this name has a lot more room left to run up to the upside. Now, if you go down to the intraday 2-hour time frame, there is a slight chance that we can see a slight pullback either tomorrow or maybe Tuesday, who knows. But as long as we're consistently staying under tightly this descending resistance trend line, so somewhere around at least 56 to around 57.50, we should be able to see a nice breakout. However, if you don't see that type of an ideal price action, the most realistic probability that we can see for this name is that we immediately reject from this descending resistance trend line, okay? And we can possibly retest at least 55.50. Okay, the reason why I'm saying that is that if you look closely here, okay, there is a very nice intraday resistance level that we broke out of on Friday. And so, resistance levels tend to be retested. So if the price does pull back from this descending resistance trend line, we should be able to see a retest of around 55.50, which is the reason why I give you guys an early entry, bounce entry at 55.55, 55.55. Now, if you don't want to, focus on any of that stress of waiting to see if there's going to be a pullback or if we are starting to kind of move back and forth between 55.50, you can simply wait for a breakout entry over $58. Now, why $58? Because, well, once the price reaches $58, then we can presumably assume that the price is over this descending resistance trend line. And at that point, we can easily slide up, have a nice vertical slide up towards 61.50 and eventually to this all-time high price of $64.14. So there isn't a lot of resistance left on SYM as this continues to have great momentum, great relative strength, right? And even if it gets into overbought levels, that just simply means that there's a lot of good buyers, that the price is relatively strong, right? Okay, so our next name here is AI. That's right. So this is a really beaten down name, but you guys should know by now that AI has been a huge theme for this entire year, and this one has had a great run up to the upside. It has had, let me even take out my marker here to indicate. So we've had 1 and 2 large run-ups to the upside. Now, could there be a potential for another large run-up here that's setting up for us? Yes, why not? AI has been a huge momentum name, and just simply off of the recognition of its ticker, right? Because we're talking about AI, and this ticker symbol is AI. All right, so just even off the backdrop of that momentum on the name recognition, this one has been able to consistently have these large momentum run-ups to the upside. I mean, this is just it's not even just a momentum run-up, it's a short squeeze to the upside, right? And why do I say it's a short squeeze? Well, AI looks horrible on the monthly time frame. So if you actually scroll out to the larger time frames and take a look at where it IPO'd at triple digits, right? So this one has a lot of supply overhead, which we should be worried about. But on the other hand, we have a lot of potential for this name to continue to squeeze. Okay, so again, even just in the monthly time frame here, guys, I really love the fact that AI is sitting over the 10 and 21 SMAs, and even on the weekly, I love the fact that it has regained over the 10 and 21, including the 50 SMA, and the 50 SMA is pretty important on the weekly time frame, like I've explained plenty of times last year on the S&P 500 actually. So make sure you guys remember that. But on the daily now, okay, now on the daily, based on that bigger time frames, AI on the daily time frame has been moving very tightly, and I love the fact that AI hasn't been really seeing any type of a large short squeeze like every other heavily shorted names have been seeing all of last week and last week. And I love the fact that AI has just been simply moving sideways. Right, it's been moving sideways between 27.50 and 31.50, and that's that. And so I love the fact that this has become compressed so tightly that potentially this week we can see a very nice breakout to the upside and potentially hitting the next major area or level of resistance at $36. So right here, right, this is a previous level of support. Okay, make that red for you guys. Okay, and if you guys see back here, right, this is a very heavy level or area of supply between 36 to around 42. Okay, so I would really love it if you can break over 31.60, which is why I gave you guys this long-term entry at 31.65, and see a very nice move to $36, making it a great 1 to 5 or nearly a 1 to 5 risk to reward swing trade. Okay. All right, so our last equity trade idea here is Path. So Path is another kind of AI related name, or at least in a similar space, and Path here has had an incredible, absolutely monstrous reaction to the upside. I even mentioned it to you guys, I believe Thursday night, right? I think it was on Thursday night, and Path, I told you guys that there is a slight chance that we can see Path holding this $22 weekly level and just continuously squeezing to the upside. And guess what? That's exactly what we did on Friday, the day after the earnings report occurred. So, earnings was great, right? And hopefully you guys read the actual breakdown on why I believe Path is a great trade idea in the newsletter. But technically, right? This is very, very, very good. This is like eye candy, right? So PAT has been basing for over a year, right? And finally, it's having its breakout moment. And we want to be involved in such opportunities, right? We want to be involved in these very big move up higher, right? And the very initial move up higher. And you might be saying, Andrew, are we too late, right? Are we not late here? Because it seems like the great early entry was last week, right? Above $22, or at least a bounce at the retest of $22 that we saw on Friday's low of the day. Well, yes, that is indeed correct. However, when these names have such a great short squeeze up and a great potential to continue to squeeze up higher, especially after such a run up on Friday with a huge gap up, we need to be able to capitalize on such big opportunities. And so on the 2-hour time frame that I'm trying to show you guys here, the relative strength index clearly indicates that we do need a pullback. But when we have such good momentum and really good buying coming in on a name like this, okay, we don't tend to see immediate large pullbacks to the downside. Right? Instead, we start to find new price ranges to start consolidating in, just like we started to see last Friday. We started to see some sort of consolidation between 24.50 and around 25.50, a nice $1 range. And so if we do see any type of a pullback tomorrow, a slight pullback early in the morning, I would expect to see at least $24 being retested, so at least we can see a recalibration of the RSI back down to at least somewhere around 70 to 72. Okay, and once we're able to see that, the price should be somewhere around $24, and that's the reason why I gave you guys an early bounce entry at $24.10. But again, we're kind of making a range between 24.50 to 25.50. So if we do decide to continuously consolidate and bounce at 24.50, that can also be another opportunity for you guys to get in for a nice bounce entry. But if you guys are simply, and this is what I'm going to do, waiting for a nice red to green entry, okay? And I'm pretty sure you guys heard this before many times, but what we truly mean when we say red to green is that when the stock starts to pull back, right, and it's slightly red and it starts to get green, right, we want to see the price breaking over the previous candlestick's high of the day. So the PHOD, the previous high of the day, right? And the previous high of the day on last Friday was 25.47. And so if we do see a nice red to green, right, and as we're green and we start to push higher and we break over the previous high of the day, the PHOD, we can see a nice entry point at 25.55. And why do we want to see that? Why do we want to see the price going from red to green and then eventually breaking over the PHOD? Well, that simply tells us that, well, buyers are here. Buyers are ready to continue to defend the price trend to the upside. Okay, so for path here, it's really just imperative that you guys understand why I chose this name for this week, even if we might be a little bit late. But there's so much potential for path here if we do get a nice entry point on any dip this entire week. All right, because this one, again, on the weekly time frame, really horrible, just like AI that we just saw, IPO'd around the 75 to 80 range here, right? And it has a lot of room to move to the upside. It really looks similar, to be honest, to the first move up high that we saw in AI here. All right, like I've indicated previously a couple minutes ago. Okay, so path, again, similar move to the upside. I truly believe that we are in the initial stages of a large short squeeze to the upside. So if we do see a nice short squeeze to the upside, I truly wholeheartedly think that we can get up to $32 as the maximum target before we see any type of a large, 3 to 4 week pullback. Okay, so again, we have so many opportunities this week, and it was really hard, frankly, for me to choose what names to be looking at this week, but I've chosen the names that have probably the most amount of potential this entire week. So make sure you guys have your alerts set up. Right? Okay, so that is it for this week's technical analysis video. Make sure you guys give me a thumbs up down below if you guys enjoyed listening to this video and watching my technical analysis of all these individual tickers and trade ideas. And of course, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel and make sure you guys hit that notification bell so that you guys are notified whenever I upload a new video, or most importantly, when I am live on YouTube. Okay, have a great rest of your night, and I'll see you guys tomorrow morning.